ones. Ha! I figured it out.
Works all the way through.
I hit go live first and let it go live, and then I do the video and I get the actual countdown rather than being screwed and
Very nice.
flipping out and everything. So, all right. This is Three Pagans on Tap. You can read our names, so I don't know if we need to say them.
Yeah, say it anyway.
All right. I'm Karan Adagda.
I'm Malek Odinson.
I am Sarenth Odinson.
And Sarenth is going to lead us out.
All right. Oh, hail, eldest ancestors. Hail to you of fire and ice. Hail to you of water and air and earth. Hail, hail, hail. Hail fire itself, who allows the waters to roil, that brings out the taste in earth, that brings forward the sweetness of air, and that gives good ground for growth and good places for the brew to begin. Hail to you, O holy ones. Thank you, each of you in kind. Ice for form, water for the shapeless liquid that conforms, and earth for the vessels with which we drink tonight. Hail to you, O holy ones. Thank you, one and all. Thank you for blessing us and being with us, and thank you for inspiring us, and thank you for transforming each of us in turn as you transform water into beer, slowly and in its own time. Hail to you, holy ones. Let's do hell.
Just in case anybody's wondering, Vixen's Vixen, got Scubus, Black Cat, Stormbreaker. So apparently announcing our names made everybody announce their names
Hey,
That's fine.
on the stream as well. That's pretty fun.
yay, trends.
Gosh, what do we want to start with tonight?
Well, tonight's
because it's different.
right.
It is different.
So, it's a what?
So for those who aren't on the Patreon, tonight we're all drinking the same 3 beers. We have Expedition Stout by Bells, Dirty Bastard by Founders, and Backwoods Bastard by Founders, and we're all going to drink them and, talk about them.
Yep. So is nobody else going to pick?
Go for
Oh,
it.
I've already started drinking Expedition Stout.
All right. Well, we'll do Expedition Stout then.
That's what I did for the opening prayer.
So mine's a little different probably than what you all got,
Just a touch.
because mine's a 2013 Expedition Stout.
Oh, fancy.
So
Yeah.
a little
I don't
bit
know.
of aging on it.
Mine is from September 2020. So,
Mine is from 10/8/2018.
Oh, shit.
So none of them are current.
Well, 2020.
Yeah, it's probably about current.
Yeah.
I'm going to drink mine the right way.
Very interesting.
That's a Russian Imperial for you.
Yeah. But I want to hear your all's opinion of it because, mine's ancient.
Good head. It's got this really nice bitter note. Yeah, I saw that smirk. Fuck you, Malek.
What do you want from me?
I don't know what I expected.
I really don't either.
Oh, I also have to give a shout out. Thank you to the Sanctuary Wayward Geek folks. I really love this mug, and I'm so happy that I finally have it back in my possession after forgetting it at your house twice now.
Yeah, it's fine. This is really good. That bitter note is honestly nice because without it, it would be too sweet, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine doesn't have the same carb, but again, 2013. So
yeah,
it's got almost 8 years on it. Let me see the exact date that this was. So September of 2013. So 7 years aging there.
So that's the thing about aging is that people often assume you can't bottle age beers.
It's a certain kind of beer, though. I mean, like stouts are fine, porters are fine. Do not cellar age an IPA.
No.
You mean I shouldn't cellar age a Budweiser?
No, you shouldn't cellar age a Budweiser or a Coors.
It hurts.
Now I really want to find like a really old Budweiser somewhere and try it.
You know, it's really fucky. We're in 2021, so if you go 21 years ago, it's a 2000.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was talking to Malek before we started. Bell's started in 1985.
Ain't that some shit?
Right.
So they're the oldest craft brewery in Michigan.
Same year I was born. Good year.
Wow. Shut up.
Does somebody feel old?
Yes. I always feel old.
Stop touching yourself then.
Wow.
That's the kind of evening we're going to have. This is going to be fun.
Apparently we're just on that train.
It has, for all the bitter notes, it does have a real edge of sweetness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you do with the Budweiser? Chuck it in the filler, leave it there for 5 years, and throw it out.
Truth.
Emily, if you'd like to feel young again, I was born in 1968. So now you can feel young. Yeah. Malek, you want to give the year you were born?
Oh, 92.
92.
Jesus.
Wait. Holy crap. You're younger than my oldest. You're younger than Ode.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I knew that.
Oh, my goodness.
Mason.
Jesus, Mason, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, skunked beer is really bad.
Yep.
Although, interestingly, most of the time skunked flavor comes from light, not from, like, heat. But
you can get a skunked canned beer, though.
Oh, you can. You definitely can. That's what I said, most of the time.
Right, yeah.
This commentary in the comment section is freaking awesome.
Yeah. This is my favorite so far. Oh.
It happens. Fucking, I'm okay with being the youngest because at work I'm the oldest, and it drives me absolutely insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, drinking straight out of the bottle versus drinking out of the horn, it definitely imparts a different flavor and a different feel. And I really dig the difference because it was really bubbly coming out of the bottle, and the bitter notes were more up front, whereas everything kind of went when I put it in the horn.
Yeah. It's surprising how much difference just a change in glass can make.
Yeah.
That's like, I'm not tonight, but the last couple episodes I've been drinking out of Glencairns, which are supposed to be the best glasses for drinking whiskey.
Mm.
And honestly, for most other things too, because like flavor is flavor. And like it really like it's something that you really kind of have to experience to know how much of a difference it makes, because I didn't think it'd be that much of a difference until I started drinking out of like tulip shaped glasses, and I was like, oh no, this makes a huge fucking difference.
There was something I saw online a while ago about the controversy in the champagne world between traditional champagne glasses and the new design they brought out, which I think is a lot like what you're talking about. And because the evaporation is slowed with the new design, while also providing more of a body for the drink to kind of breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas your traditional champagne flutes are really width-wise are tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah.
Yep. A little bit smaller, but
yeah.
These are from the Grand Rapids beer and food show, wine, beer, and food show.
Very nice.
In, I don't know, like 10 years ago, I think.
Mine's from Alehorn. We should seriously talk to the fucking sponsorship. Wouldn't that be awesome? Send me your shit. I'll pimp it.
Right. I mean, they make good stuff though. Like your horn is really wow.
Right.
I'm gonna not. Nope. Oh no.
Oh no! Let's hear it.
Girthy?
Come on, tell me about my horn.
So about that beer.
It's got a good head on it, doesn't it?
All right, so I really like the Expedition Stout. I think it's great. It's available pretty much everywhere, nationwide. So that's the nice thing about these two breweries, though they're both Michigan breweries.
Yeah, they're also
have nationwide distribution. So feel free to pick this up at your local Stop and Rob.
Yeah.
And sorry, your local liquor store.
Yeah.
What did they call it when I was in Massachusetts? A package store.
Package store. Yeah. Yep.
I was like, I'm not picking up packages there. What the fuck is wrong with you people? Get the shovel. Malek is digging a ditch.
I mean, look, it happens, okay?
Malek, you gonna finish Aaron's horn?
It's full-bodied and flavorful.
So question for you though. You said there was a difference between the bottle and the horn.
Yeah.
Which did you enjoy more?
Honestly, the horn. I mean, partly it's the aesthetic. I'll be perfectly blunt about that. I fucking love the aesthetic of just having a horn. But it's also the way that so when I drink it out of the bottle, it was a lot more upfront and bitter.
Right.
And a lot of the what do you call it? The fizz, the carbonation is a lot more quick to the tongue. Whereas letting the horn breathe and letting the head calm down a bit actually provided me more of a palate as opposed to just whatever was up front hitting me in the mouth.
Yeah.
I'm not editing that. Nope.
I'm trying really hard not to laugh. Sorry.
This is with us not pre-gaming, folks. I'm just
right. We're all basically like, what the hell?
It's one of them days.
Yeah.
Apparently.
I really like this beer though, because it really showcases a broad range of the flavors that are found in a lot of stouts. You've got chocolate flavors, coffee flavors, some dark fruits, a lot of like just roast malt flavor.
Yep.
In fact, I think that's where most of the bitterness is coming from. I don't think it's a lot of, or at least to my tongue, it doesn't register as a lot of hop bitterness. It mostly registers as like roast bitterness.
Roasted
Yes.
malt. Yeah. Yep.
It's not hoppy like Oberon's.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Yeah. It's I think it's really good. It also does not taste like the 10.5% that it is.
Right. Is that what yours comes in at 10.5?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, 10.5.
All right. So I'm at 10.7.
Okay.
So, and just so people know, like, often this happens.
Yeah.
You
I'm
get
10
a
and a
beer,
half.
you know, that's especially older beers tend to have more alcohol by volume, and I'm not sure why. If it's like everybody kind of knocked it down some in the last 5 years or so. But did you see this, Sarenth?
I did.
Okay. I know that Ale Horn also does straps and stands for their actual horn mugs, not the flat bottom ones.
And honestly, if you really need that, a lot of them will sell it to you. But you can also just honestly just tie a strap of leather around this and it'll work.
Yeah.
Most of my wall hang horns do that.
Mm-hmm.
This is my other one, this is a Grimfrost mug. And I'll be using this for one of the other ones. I mean, look at this fucking monster. All they do is just curve the horn back. So you can always just attach straps to that. You know, if anybody asks you, "Oh, is that historical?" We don't fucking know.
Yeah.
We don't know because leather degrades, and it degrades a lot quicker than horn does.
Yep.
So, but I know Ale Horn has great stuff. And as a matter of fact, they have the double X one, which is like a liter.
Yeah, it's fucking amazing.
So if you really want to get hammered, go ahead and get the XXL horn.
And if you're going to get hammered, at least praise Thor before you do it.
Right. So
only if you can finish the horn in one go.
Oof.
Sorry. Bottom.
Well, you know, you got to be able to prop it up.
All right, next beer.
Let's do Dirty Bastard. It seems appropriate.
All right.
So who wants to talk about this one?
Well, we're all talking about them. That's kind of the point.
Well, you know what I mean. You know, who wants to start, I should say.
Who picked this
beer? I feel like you just volunteered.
Oh, fucking hell. I just like this beer. I was like, ooh, Dirty Bastard. That sounds awesome. We're going to do a beer?
Have you
dark.
never had it before?
Oh, I've had it.
Okay.
I had it for one of the shows, actually, I think.
That's a
yeah.
nice head.
Fuck it, I'll pour into this one.
So it'll be really interesting to compare the Dirty Bastard with the Backwoods Bastard, because the Backwoods Bastard is basically, not exactly, but basically just the Dirty Bastard barrel-aged. So
right.
It'd be interesting to compare.
Now, I personally really like Dirty Bastard. I like Scotch ales, though.
Yeah.
I do.
So,
Scotch ale is my favorite style of beer, generally speaking.
Ditto.
So mine is 8.5. It's 50 IBUs. It was bottled in 9/9/20.
Mine is 12/29/20 and is also 8.5.
Mine's 7/28/20 and also 8.5. Yeah, I really like Scotch ales. So the Expedition Stout.
Oh, God damn it, that's smooth.
I had the Backwoods Bastard. I was able to buy a single of the Dirty Bastard. They didn't have singles, so I bought a 6-pack, and I was like, okay, I need one, and then my kids took the rest. So I'll have no more of it, but
you know,
kids. Yeah. I can wait for my boyo to age up to where he's drinking my shit. 7 years, Jesus Christ.
Oh my gosh.
This is really smooth. It's part of why I like it. It's a really nice dark ale. It's bitter, but it doesn't clank you over the head with it, and its hoppiness is kind of taken back. And what you're tasting is pretty much the roast, from what I'm gathering.
Yeah.
There is a good somebody who said earlier, I don't know what I'm talking about. That was a really good explanation.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, I get a touch of hop bitterness from this, but nothing absurd. Like it's mostly just to balance out the sweetness of the malt.
Yeah, I mean it's only 50 IBU.
Well,
So,
yeah.
Did we ever explain what IBUs were? I don't remember if we did that or not.
No.
Okay.
International beer units.
International bitterness units.
Yep.
So how bitter the beer is. So the higher the number, the more bitter the beer.
Yep.
So if you don't like a bitter beer and you're going out a bitter beer, it's hard to say. If you don't like a bitter beer and you're going out to buy something, look for the IBU on it. If you're at a Stop and Rob, just feel free to ask somebody because they'll normally know.
Yeah.
If it doesn't say what the IBU is on it.
Yeah. Although it's worth noting that 50 IBUs is more than even a lot of IPAs have. You don't taste it because this beer is such a strong malt backbone, and that on your tongue, even though it's got 50 IBUs, you don't taste that much bitterness because it's balanced out by the sweetness.
Right. There's an Imperial IPA from a brewery up in GR that I love. That's 109 IBU, which is way up there.
That's honestly, I want to say the human tongue tops out at being able to taste bitter at like 120 or 150 IBUs.
Yeah.
I forget where exactly it is, but it's like 100 and something. Oh, fuck. That reminds me of one of the worst beers I ever had. I forget who makes it, but it was called Charles the Hammer.
Hang on.
I think if I'm remembering that right. But basically, they brewed this beer to set a record for IBUs. And what they did is they took straight alpha acid, which is the chemical in hops that makes it bitter, and they just dumped it right in the beer after it had started fermenting. They basically dry hopped with it, and I was just like, I mean, I get that you're going for the record, but like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But this, so the thing about this beer is they finish it with 80 pounds of honey.
Wow.
In a 5-barrel. So it does level out that over bitterness in the 109.
Yeah.
And the difference between drinking it out of the horn mug versus drinking it out is just, again, the same thing with the Expedition. It has more room to breathe, and the fizziness kind of hits your tongue straight off, and then it finishes with that almost chocolate sensation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a different beast. Like, if you can let your drink breathe, let it breathe.
Yeah.
Even if it's like 5 seconds of just pouring it in a glass.
Whoa. 5 seconds?
Well, you know, that PBR.
Yeah.
Distilled for 5 seconds or some shit.
Barrel aged for 5 seconds.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
So I drink all of my quote unquote darker beers, so porter, stouts, even Scotch ales. I will tend to drink at just below room temperature.
Mm-hmm.
So what would be cellar temp if you were in the UK? Where they're not, because here we have, it's just too cold. You don't get the full flavor and taste out of everything.
Yep.
Emily, what are you drinking tonight? Because holy crap, you're on a roll.
Right?
Share with the class. But I think that's a really good point, though, because temperature drastically affects the taste and quality.
Yep.
All of my beers came out of a shelf as opposed to out of the fridge.
Right.
And I'm not sure if that drastically affects the ingredients in the bottle or not, but I know for me, I drink beers that most people are like, why the fuck would you drink it warm? And it's like, do you want to taste it or do you want to get drunk?
Yeah. Yeah, I go to bars and they pour me Guinness out of the tap and I sit there with my hands around it, warming it up.
Mm-hmm.
Get it to a point where I'm like, okay, now I can drink it because I can taste everything.
That's not how you're supposed to drink Guinness.
Being 30 degrees and
yeah,
hating life.
Yeah.
So let your beers warm up. You'll taste a whole lot more out of them.
Unless they're hoppy beers, in my experience, and granted, this is a very subjective thing, but in my experience,
Thanks, Scubus.
both wasn't good. But in my experience, I prefer hoppy beers real cold, not like frozen. Like I still want to be able to taste it, but like definitely refrigeration temps.
Well, if you're going to drink grass,
That's funny. I actually really like grassy IPAs. Like,
if I wanted to taste a mown lawn, I'd just go lick the front yard.
I mean, whatever floats your boat. Like,
But you're not going to get drunk off of that.
I mean,
I mean,
I'd have to. The thing is, I'd have to pregame. I'd have to already be drunk to go lick the grass in my front yard. So potato.
also, for those watching, my habit of peeling the label off of all of my beers as I drink has already started. So, it's a good night.
Why do you do that?
You realize that they're not returnable at that point.
It doesn't. I'm not going to return them anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're going to put homebrew in them, aren't you?
Probably not these because my capper doesn't like the Founders bottles.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. I don't know why. I do know why. It's because the bottles are slightly too wide. But
All right.
If you have to get drunk before you do it, you're probably not going to be as good as those.
Right. By the way, guys, tonight we do have.
Yay!
hey, hi, Jack.
Oh, hey, Jack.
Per Josie's comment, this is actually one of the things I really like about Scotch ales. I say about Scotch ales, they should either taste like bread or bread pudding. And this Dirty Bastard is definitely one of those. This tastes like bread. And I really enjoy that.
Josie raises a really good point, though. If you don't like bread, don't bother with Scotch ales or a lot of the dark ones because it kind of tastes like wheat or rye, depending on what's in it.
Yep, it definitely is one of those. Like, yeah, no, this is a loaf of bread in a bottle, basically.
Yeah, they're just heavy.
Yeah,
but when you're my size, heavy's fine.
Yeah,
because it doesn't make you any heavier. It just you stay the same weight. You just feel full quick, which is probably good.
I mean, I'm like 150 pounds, and I still like them. So
right. 150 pounds. I think I did that in like 7th grade. Oh wait, that's a lie. 5th grade.
I didn't break 100 pounds until my senior year of high school.
High metabolism's a bitch, right?
Yeah. It's funny. I actually started. So I ran cross country in high school.
Oh, that explains
it. I started gaining weight when I started running. Yeah, it got kind of silly when I was running though, because I mean I was running like 6.5, 7 miles a day at least.
Jesus, how will you have knees still?
Well, one, I fucked up one of my knees.
That'll do it.
And 2, I was eating something like 8,000 calories a day at minimum.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, no, there's one story that my parents like to tell where I sat down. We were having pot roast for dinner. It was like a 4-pound roast. And I seriously sat down and ate half that pot roast by myself, plus mashed potatoes and gravy, plus carrots, plus whatever else they could fucking fit on my plate. I seriously ate like 6 pounds of food that night.
Because you were fucking starving.
Yeah, no, and I just kept, like, everyone else got up and I just kept eating.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I was 6'2" and weighed 245 pounds as a freshman in high school. So,
yeah,
I was a big boy. Josie, on the other hand, was 100 pounds in kindergarten.
I mean, my brother was that way. It's funny. So I am like just barely 5'9" and like 150 pounds. My brother is 6'4" and approaching 400 pounds, I think.
Gotcha.
Same parents. Yeah, same parents, just completely different ends of the gene pool.
Yeah.
Roll different characters. That's how that works.
Right, exactly. Everything reverts back to D&D at some point on
It
this.
does.
Mm.
All right. So we got one more backwoods, right?
Yup.
And this was my choice for the night.
Surprising no one I picked the Dirty Bastard.
The expedition was mine, but mostly because Bell's is like literally right around the corner. I could walk to Bell's and back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't realize they were in Kazoo.
Yep, they are indeed.
I fucking love this beer.
The amazing thing is that the only difference really is barrel aging, and it goes from 8.5 to 11.
I think there is a difference. I think that they do this as a higher ABV version before they put it in the barrels. Because usually barrels won't give that much ABV. Like they might give a little, but not that much.
Mm-hmm.
But also, generally speaking, when you barrel age something, especially a beer, you want it to be a higher alcohol by volume. Otherwise, it'll just get completely overwhelmed by the barrel flavor.
Right.
A
nice head.
Yeah. Beautiful color too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's darker than the.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, these glasses do a really good job of reflecting my screen too.
Kind of. I really like this beer because it's such a good balance of you still get the beer while you're also getting a lot of the barrel character, and they meld really well, which is honestly kind of hard to do. Like a lot of barrel aged beers, all you taste is the barrel, and that's kind of disappointing because I want something that'll stand up to the barrel, you know?
Right.
That's a really good point. The point of barrel aging is to mellow shit out, not necessarily to override your flavors.
Exactly.
Right?
Not necessarily mellow it out. It's to give it a different character.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it depends on what kind of barrel you're putting it in even.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why like KBS and CBS are actually the same beer. Just one is done in bourbon barrels and one is done in maple syrup barrels.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay.
And
So-
they're very different beers.
Yeah, very, very different.
Like you can tell they come from the same base, but they are very different.
And they're roughly, so barrels, depending on, and I don't know about this beer, if they barrel age it in something that's already been, already had something in it. Like a lot of my meads, we barrel age in Jack Daniel's barrels.
Mm.
So besides the barrel flavor, you also get some of that Jack Daniel's flavor into it. So it imparts that into it. But there are 11 different char levels for barrels.
Oh, no shit.
And any barrel in the United States is done with white oak for the most part. But you can also get French oak barrels, which tend to have a lot of wine put in them and that kind of stuff. So, and there's actually a company now that makes little spirals out of barrel staves.
Oh, cool.
They're charred to different levels, and they're actually sized right so that you can drop them in a fifth. And
I've seen those.
Yeah,
like Bespoke or whatever the hell that basically Manly Man Loot Crate Company does. They have those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen those before. That's interesting. I didn't know you could do that.
And you can get them for beer. You can get them for all kinds of stuff. So just about anything you want to do in it. And I'll throw this out there. That's the Amazon link. Holy crap.
There we go.
So that's the Amazon link for those barrel aged things. And those are actually for whiskey. But you can do beers as well.
Yeah. That's actually so when I was at the brewery, the very first beer that I made professionally, like recipe all the way through execution, was a Scotch ale, and what I did was I took oak spirals that were, I think, level 3 or 4 char. I forget exactly what the char level was. And I aged them in a really, really peaty Islay Scotch for like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yep.
And then when the Scotch ale was finished fermenting, I dropped those oak spirals in it and let it sit for like another 2 weeks before I put it on tap, and it was really good. You didn't get as much as the peat as I wanted, probably because I just didn't let it sit on the staves for long enough, but Scotch ales really take well to barrel aging. Like for most people think, all right, if it's barrel aged, it's a stout or a porter, but like Scotch ales take it really, really well.
Yeah. There are actually a lot of beers that take barrel aging very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
And not just beers. I mean, like
meads.
There's a whole bunch of different things that can barrel age really, really well.
I was going to say, when my son put together his first mead for Thor, he ended up putting a honeycomb shape of oak in there because it's one of Thor's traditional woods.
Gotcha.
So, and when I made mine for Odin, I did something similar. I had a honeycomb of ash, white ash.
Now, are you charring those or just dropping them in whole?
Nope. Just dropped them straight in because we weren't sure what it was going to taste like.
Right. Yeah, you might want to try charring them a little bit because it basically opens the wood up.
Oh, okay.
And allows it to impart more flavor. Plus, you get a little bit of that char flavor as well. So it develops a lot of like vanilla tannins and that kind of stuff when you char it.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Now, I don't know how that'll affect ash, but definitely with oak it does.
Yeah.
Ash came out, it wasn't bitter. It was actually, it made the meat a bit smoother.
Yeah, that'll happen a lot.
It was just a straight, like we just plopped them in the mead and we had them brew till the first racking.
Gotcha.
So we basically just stuck a thing of ash and oak into the respective meads and just sat back for 3 weeks and let it age.
Yeah. Now, this same company that I posted the link to for the small spirals actually makes them for barrels as well.
Okay.
So I can buy them in, I think there's 5 of them to a pack, and they're like 3 feet long.
Damn.
And all right, then. Drop them right into a tank and just let it age that way rather than and they age much faster with a spiral than they do in a barrel because there's more surface area. So the more surface area they have, the faster it's going to age. So I can get something that tastes like it's a year aged in about 45 days.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's a thing. Like you can get a lot of homebrewers will get like spirals or staves or chips or cubes or whatever. I've even seen people use what's basically really coarse sawdust because they wanted to turn around a real fast oaking in like a week. And I'm like, I mean, all right, whatever floats your boat, but
as long as you filter after, you're fine.
Yeah.
Backwoods Bastard, it's got a little bit of a punch to it.
Well, there's 11%.
It is 11%. It's actually the highest ABV beer we're having tonight. So
yep. It's good stuff. You know, honestly, it does taste a lot like the other, but it's got that. It doesn't have the mellowness. It doesn't have the smoky qualities, the stuff that you were talking about with the other beer. This one is just very. This is what I am. Hi.
See, I don't think it tastes anything like Dirty Bastard.
It's got echoes of it. I don't think it tastes exactly like. But Backwoods, I don't know. It honestly does taste like something you drink in the backwoods on a small walk or something. Whereas Dirty Bastard, that's like gathering around the table, sharing your latest exploits kind of a drink.
Yeah.
That's legit.
We ought to do, so in a future episode, we ought to do Curmudgeon and Curmudgeon's Better Half.
We definitely should.
Never had it.
Yeah. So also Founders Beers. But, you know, it's 2 different things that are very similar, but taste entirely different.
Yeah.
Similar brewing process and all that.
Yep.
Yeah. It's basically so Old Curmudgeon is an old ale, which I believe is barrel aged, but I don't remember right off the top of my head.
I believe
But it's an old ale, similar to a Scotch ale, but not quite. And then Old Curmudgeon's Better Half is basically the same beer, but barrel aged in those maple syrup barrels.
right.
So it's that it takes a sweeter kind of beer that's vaguely similar to a Scotch ale and then treats it like a CBS. So it's now much sweeter and all that barrel character. It's real good.
Really good, yeah. And there's different kinds of barrels that you can age in. So like a bourbon barrel is kind of like the big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is it bog standard now?
I'm sorry?
Is it bog standard? Like, is it okay? So everybody barrel ages in this shit now, whereas it used to be a previous kind of wood or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody pretty much barrel ages in straight white oak bourbon barrels for the most part.
Yeah. Especially in the US, if you're talking about a barrel aged beer, it's almost exclusively going to be bourbon barrel aged. You'll sometimes get other stuff, but they'll usually call that out because it sets them apart.
Right.
Gotcha.
But like I'm working on a mead now that I'm going to tequila barrel age.
Holy shit.
So, that's something obviously I'm going to talk about, the fact that it's barrel aged in a tequila barrel, because it's an entirely different flavor profile.
What kind of flavor? Okay, so that's my question. What kind of flavors are you looking for when you switch out of bourbon? Because bourbon is like, people know what the tastes like. They know what a bourbon barrel age, generally speaking, imparts. What's tequila impart?
So the barrel that I'll be using actually had tequila in it previously.
Right.
So it's going to impart some of that lime flavor, some of that vanilla and spice, but a much more muted vanilla than comes in a bourbon barrel age.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so the mead I'm making is obviously honey. 51% of your fermentals have to be honey in order to be a mead.
Right.
But I'll also have agave syrup in it.
Okay.
Agave is what they make tequila out of.
Right.
And then it'll have lime in it as well, and probably blood orange. So it's going to be something that's just significantly more different, and is going to have more of that tequila kind of front end that you expect as we drank tequila not long ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so Vixen asks, how do you get those barrels? Do you buy them off of other brewers? No, I do not. I buy them directly from Jack Daniels, and barrel age in them twice. So Jack Daniels does once. I barrel age twice in them, and then I sell them off to somebody who's going to make like furniture or something out of them.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yep. Some people use more than that. Some people do like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
As the barrel gets used more, what flavors it imparts will change, but also will kind of lessen over time, right? As the flavor compounds get drawn out of the wood, you'll get less and less oak, and you'll basically just get more and more of whatever was in it last.
So the flavonoids of the particular barrel go away. Long story short.
Yep. Depending on how what you do when you get it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will get it and they'll, like, it's a Jack Daniels barrel and they won't wash it. Right? They'll just throw their stuff right into it. Because Jack Daniels has already, like completely cleaned it, put it all together, and it was fresh when they got it. So it was a brand new, the cooperage had just built it for them. And they just basically, they take the bung out, pour the stuff in, put the bung back in and ship it off. I take my barrels and I clean them.
Interesting. Okay.
So I lose some of that Jack Daniels because of that process.
But it's a more straightforward. This is
More
the char.
oak and char. Yep. Than
Yeah.
Okay.
Jack.
That makes sense.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, especially since you're not going for that Jack flavor. You're more going for the taste of the actual
Right.
barrel.
You would.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that's. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, when storing barrels, you've also got to be somewhat careful, because I mean, what you're dealing with basically is charred and wet wood, and the bourbon will act as a preservative, but if you're not careful, it'll dry out and it'll start to mold. So you've got to make sure that you're keeping that wood wet with liquid
Yep.
if you're not going to use it immediately. So like if you've got a bourbon barrel that you're just storing, you got to make sure you keep putting bourbon on it and stirring it around, to make sure that it doesn't like get mold or anything else in it.
It also, the barrel staves will separate
Mm-hmm.
because the wood will shrink, and
Yep.
then you have seepage.
Yep.
You don't want seepage out of your barrel.
So
That's
it's
kind of
just
a dirty
spray. Throw
Yep.
your stuff in it.
Yeah. Yep.
Makes a lot of sense, especially like you said, you don't want seepage.
Yep.
Now I've got a barrel right now that's been aging for 4 years.
Oh shit.
It was 4 years in December, so it has an apple cider mead in it that's been a sizer basically.
Holy
It's been
hell.
barrel aging now for 4 years.
Wow.
That's a long while.
Emily, wet wood. I thought the seepage would get the comment. Wet wood got it. Oh, there we go. Josie got it.
You're right.
Nobody
Totally
wants
won't seepage. I'm glad somebody said it.
Our viewers were so mature, just like us.
Right,
Oh,
exactly.
You know,
There's
I
the
was
reason
having-
why. Why they listen to us, I think, is because the maturity level is about the same.
right? I was half expecting it to be Nicole that made a comment, not Josie, but it's fine.
Giving it a few moments in the horn definitely shakes it up in terms of the difference.
Mm.
So like I talked about earlier with the fizziness being up in front. Wow.
Thank you, Finn.
Thanks, Finn.
Fuck you, Finn.
I'm so glad I didn't have to say it.
We're all in the gutter together. True that.
Yeah, Scubas.
We are. It's fine. It's comfy down here.
Right.
I think that letting it breathe with this versus taking it directly out of the bottle, it's a way different experience, not just in terms of the aesthetic and how it feels when you're holding it in your hand, but it's just the fizziness actually kicks me in the mouth a bit when it's right out of the bottle. It's one of the things that I was noting when I drank it earlier was that it kind of mellowed out over time because I pulled off the bottle as soon as I opened up the cap. It was like, wow, that's just really fizzy and really bitter. Now it's had a chance to kind of just mix and sit there for a minute. And it's still got a hell of a head because Carr was showing his earlier.
It's fine. Continue.
Okay. Sorry,
Right.
go
So
Completely derailed, Sarenth. It's fine.
Oh.
Fuck.
anyway, so
We said we wanted a more conversational tone, right?
Or Gwen. Go ahead.
So anyway, a lot more of that bitterness is spread out. I can actually. So the thing about tasting it straight out the bottle versus actually pouring it is you actually get the flavor profile, whereas drinking it straight out of the bottle with all three of these has been like, okay, I get the fizz, and I get the bitter, and I get there's the rest of the bottle. So I definitely recommend if you're going to actually sit down and enjoy a beer, let it breathe for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
This isn't OnlyFans, Finn. Jesus.
Oh my gosh. And Gemma said, The head jokes tell themselves.
They really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Oh my goodness.
We're not clever. We're just, ridiculous.
Raunchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Mason said, "Fuck you, Finn. I believe that aesthetic needs to spread."
Yeah, and I don't even necessarily think it necessarily needs to be a horn because you've been drinking with your glass all night, and I think that a lot of what you're talking about with the flavor profiles and all that, it's easier to understand if you actually don't just slug this thing back.
Right.
It's one of the things I'm actually happy that craft brewing for our state has done is that people actually sit down and enjoy the experience of drinking as opposed to, let's see how many of these fuckers I can toss back. Like, if you want to toss back, just buy a pack of Coors or something.
Right.
Yeah.
If you want to get drunk, buy something where it's either got high octane alcohol in it or it's low cost. If you really want to get drunk, Mad Dog 20 will take you there.
Right.
But if you actually want to enjoy the experience, you're not going to like the experience after you come off the Mad Dog 20. But at least if you're drinking for getting drunk, Mad Dog 20 will work. But I think that's one of the things that actually differentiates craft from... Wow, horny heads, yeah. I think that's one of the things that differentiates craft from other forms of brewing and enjoying the drink. And I think it's one of the things that's lost on folks who don't understand why bartending is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So at my tap room, the people who get there when we open are usually the same people who are there when we close. I don't have table turns, right? You go to most places and are like, oh, how fast can we turn this table and get the next group in? Doesn't happen.
Right.
People come and stay the entire night.
Plug your brewery because you haven't done that yet.
Sorry. So American Brewers Inc., also Norse Nectar Meadery, City Union Brewery, Brewery O'Trey, and soon Inniskalen Distillery. But you can find all the information on Facebook under the name Valhalla.
Gotcha.
That's the name of the tap room. But yeah, people show up and just hang out. Yep. And they're there all night, but they, each check's about $30. So they're, it's fine. I don't care.
Yep. Now, it's worth noting, because this is an issue that doesn't get talked enough about in the industry. The industry does have an alcoholism problem.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It does.
Yeah.
Like, legit, I have worked with people who would get hammered every single day, and they just thought it was normal. And that's not okay.
Right, yeah.
When I was a brewer, drinking was part of my job. Like, literally part of my job meant that I had to consume the alcohol. Like, I had to taste it. I had to see how it felt. I had to see how it tasted. I had to know. I had to drink as part of my job.
Yep.
But it is really way too fucking easy to fall into that trap where, oh, well, I've got a drink. And then I get a shift beer. And then, all my buddies are here, so I'm going to hang out and have a couple more. And then before you know it, you've had 6 beers, and it's a Monday.
Right.
And you're going to do that again tomorrow.
Yeah. So, I came up with new meads yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And we probably taste tested 30.
Mm-hmm.
But it was all just a sip.
Yep.
Right? Let it roll on my palate, figure out what it tasted like. Do I like it? Do I not like it? Give it a rating and move on. So rather than sitting there and just drinking meads like I did on Brian Stevens' show, what Brian wanted us. Brian says being at Valhalla is like time traveling. You show up and suddenly you're drunk and it's the future.
I mean, yeah, kind of.
When you find a good bar that lets you feel welcome, that is kind of how it's like.
Well, and we try to be really good about, there's lots of times I'm the bartender, right? So I'm the one pouring the meads. But if nobody's standing at the bar, I'm not standing behind it. I'm out sitting at somebody's table, talking, keeping an eye on the bar.
Yeah.
Right.
So that I know I have to get up and go serve somebody else, and I go sit at a different table. It's the process of I want to know my patrons. Mm-hmm. If I get to the point where we're so busy that I can't do that, I'll hire somebody to do the bar because I want to hang out with people.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who's been on the Zoom call that I do on Sundays knows that, like, the reason why I do all that stuff is because I want to hang out with people. It's not because, I feel like I'm obligated to do a Zoom call. It's just that I want to hang out with people, and this is the only way to do it in a COVID type era.
Right.
So,
and especially when you're talking about a 25% capacity as of, this week.
Yeah. Next week. Yeah.
Or next week. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yep.
Was it February 1st, right?
Yeah. February 1st, we open on the 3rd, but yeah.
Gotcha.
So there's a huge difference between social drinking and alcoholism. And I think that a lot of the nuance in that conversation has been lost over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And something that Vixen brought up some time ago. Yeah. If you could pull that up, I'd appreciate it. Yes,
Yep.
That's it. Like, I'll leisurely sit down with a terrace with a beer, watching people stroll by. I honestly think that American culture has lost that. And I think a part of that is because American culture likes extremes so much. And I really appreciate that with Valhalla Meadery, you're actually willing to sit down with your patrons and have a drink and just keep them company, because it's not like, hi, we're all just going to sit here in this smoky room and ignore each other and just sit over our beers like,
right.
Like somehow we're doing something wrong. I actually enjoy, I do the most drinking on this show that I do out of any time in my life. This is my social drinking period.
Right.
And so, one of the things that I don't want to give people the false impression of when they're watching this show is that we come onto this show to get shit-faced, or that, we're drinking at all points, all times once we're off the show. This is my drink time. Yeah. I don't drink, generally speaking, otherwise.
Yeah, I don't drink at home hardly at all, which is weird because now I have all this alcohol because we've been doing this show. So I'm literally shooting to give it away to people. I'm like, oh, here, take this. Here, take that. Because, there's too much here. And the 4 of us here don't drink that much unless we're doing a drunk divination episode.
Yeah.
Right.
And, I'll occasionally have a drink outside of this. I think I had 1 beer on Sunday.
Yeah.
But, it was a single beer, and that was the only time I drank that week.
Right.
And this isn't to slam people who have problems with alcoholism.
Oh, absolutely not.
No.
But it's just, I really wanted to bring this point home because it's something that I've been thinking about for a little while yet.
Mm-hmm.
And it is an issue within heathen circles where people think, in order to be a heathen, you have to drink, which is bullshit, by the way.
Complete.
And
right.
if your symbol, if your sacred ritual drinking does not provide you an alcohol alternative, you might want to check the fuck out, because that's going to encourage some really nasty shit down the road.
It really will.
If you have an alcohol problem, that is okay. It's part of why when we started this series, we really wanted to emphasize mocktails that other folks could enjoy, and with beers, it's really hard to recommend anything in terms of mocktails because a lot of it just tastes like fruit. Honestly, you just throw fruit in a blender and you have a mocktail for a lot of the beer mixers.
Let's be honest, non-alcoholic beers taste like crap.
They really do, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, O'Doul's, I can't do it. I really can't. I couldn't even bring myself to. Well, actually, I couldn't bring myself to buy one because my liquor store doesn't carry it. Yeah. But seriously though, if you are struggling with alcoholism and you still want that public atmosphere of drinking, there are ways to get that besides just sitting down and having a beer. And good friends will provide you alternatives.
Yep.
Yeah. This is something I've talked about briefly on the Discord, and trigger warning for those, who have issues with alcoholism. Both of my parents are alcoholic, and all 4 of my grandparents were alcoholics. My grandmother is the only one left alive. She has very serious problems with alcohol. She starts drinking at 8 a.m. when she wakes up. And she doesn't stop until she goes to bed. It's a genuine problem. I am intimately familiar with the issues of alcoholism, and it's something that I constantly watch out for because it's an issue, and alcoholism has a genetic component. It runs in families. It does. Do we know what genes? No, but we know that it runs in families, and not just like we've done identical twin studies. It's not just like the culture you're raised in. It's also has a genetic component.
We're not sure if it's related to genetic passing on or if it's epigenetics.
Yeah, which honestly, the likely answer is both.
Yep. Something Finn brought up is really good,
Hmm.
and I want to kind of highlight that in their latest quote. Every symbol they've been through is offered alcoholic and non. There have been many opportunities that Finn's opted for non. And I will say, as somebody that drinks and has zero problem with alcohol and doesn't have a family history of alcoholism, it is totally cool if you choose to not fucking drink at a symbol.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because it's your body, your choice.
Yep.
You know, and that's as true whether you're talking about a situation where your friends want to go out and have a pint and you're just like, cool, I'm going to be the boring one sitting in the back with a cup of cider or something.
That's what DDs are for.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
I'm very lucky that my wife doesn't drink. I'm very lucky.
We actually offer free sodas to anybody who's a designated driver. So if they come into our tap room and they're the DD for the night, they get to drink sodas for free.
Oh, sweet.
Yes, because it's the smartest thing to do.
Mhm.
Right? If you're gonna get to a point where you shouldn't drive, don't fucking drive.
Right.
So either have somebody who is sober and will drive for you, or Uber and Lyft are a thing in the States. So,
and if you find out you're having an alcohol problem, there is zero stigma, as far as I'm concerned, with getting help.
Exactly.
And I felt like a need to point this out because it's been something, especially since we've had a lot of episodes where we had really hard liquor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it is okay if you don't drink till you're trashed. It is okay if you just have a pint of beer or have a sip and you're solid.
Yep.
You don't have to get shit-faced to enjoy alcohol. Moreover, honestly, if you have to be shit-faced in order to enjoy alcohol, you're not actually enjoying the alcohol. You're enjoying being drunk.
Yep.
Yes, do not fucking drive.
Yep.
I don't care how much you've had.
Yeah.
I mean,
or call a cab.
Yeah. Pay the fare. Yep. I mean, the thing is like even at the 8.5% that I drank earlier, I would still not drive unless I had like 3 hours between me and the time I had to leave.
Yeah.
At least. And even then, if my wife's with me, she's driving.
Yep.
Let me just say for people who are like, I'm just going to go get something to eat and that'll sober me up. Doesn't work.
Nope.
You have to eat beforehand.
Yep.
Eating after you started drinking does not help you.
It doesn't, because you've already metabolized it.
Yep. Exactly. So you have to eat beforehand.
Yep.
So be smart.
Yes. And I really appreciate Vixen you saying that too.
Yeah. Vixen says, I never drive, no matter how few glasses.
Yep. It is far better to be safer than sorry. It doesn't matter how good a driver you are.
And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm perfect. I have driven drunk before, and it's one of the absolute worst mistakes I've ever made, and I regret it to this day. For
anybody who doesn't know Jack's blind. So Jack probably does drive way better when drinking. Oh my goodness. All right.
Anyway.
But I really
Go ahead.
I just really wanted to put that out there. But I mean, the thing about a lot of these drinking shows that we've been doing is, do you enjoy the camaraderie? Do you enjoy the people that you're spending time with? Are you engaging with alcohol and the spirits of alcohol in a way that is pro-social, both for you and for the spirits of alcohol? Because one of the easiest things that this culture does, because of how it pushes for extremes, is to take these relationships with alcohol, which I believe very firmly are their own individual spirits. It is very easy to take alcohol to a very dark place because our culture really encourages the extreming of things. So is what I'm doing honoring the spirits of alcohol? Is how I'm conducting myself? Is my enjoyment of the product that these alcohol spirits are in? Is that encouraging me to act out in a way that embarrasses myself or embarrasses the spirits of alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't care about yourself, that's fine. But if you care about other people, whether it's the spirits of alcohol, your friends, your family, your kindred, what have you, that needs to be a factor in how you drink and why you drink.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've talked a lot on this show about our relationships being expressed through alcohol. And it's also kind of where I'm going with in terms of the taboos we have around alcohol. I think that it's kind of goofy that we can send people off to die at age 18 and you can't drink till you're 21. Now, I know that that's in the military, that's different. But it's just
depending on where you're at, yes.
Depending on where you're at. But I think on the face of it, it's goofy as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think it's Vixen who brought up earlier, like, in the UK, you can start drinking at 16.
Yep.
Here we have a 21 age.
Mm-hmm.
Malek, did you wait till 21? Okay. Sarenth, did you wait till 21?
I actually did.
Did you? Okay.
I am one of very few people that I know of who
Right.
did.
Yeah. So I didn't at all.
Actually, scratch that. No, I didn't. I had a woodchuck at 16.
So even though we have this law of 21,
it doesn't happen.
It doesn't really happen, but we don't learn to drink responsibly because we have to quote unquote hide it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if we had learned to drink responsibly, things would be better as people get older.
Yep.
So I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Vixen brought this up. We've never actually done a drunk divination on this show.
I mean, we did. Yeah, we did. With Caitlin and Brian, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we brought Brian's ass on here.
Right.
He's just looking around like,
Brian was like, I don't understand any of this.
Yeah. Brian's on here as me and Sarenth and Caitlin are all like fucking tranced the entire time. Like, not only are we drinking, we are completely tranced out. It's fine.
Yeah.
Which that's actually an interesting point. So since I've begun an actual worship relationship with spirits of alcohol, beer foam divination, yep. Alcohol will drop me into a trance incredibly quickly now. And I can also leave that trance a lot easier than I used to be able to. Because I've been trancing with alcohol before I knew trance was the thing. Forever. But since I've been intentionally cultivating that relationship, entering and exiting that trance has been a lot easier, and I've also gotten less hangovers, which is really interesting to me.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, your relationships are going to be your relationships. Not everyone's going to have the same experience as me.
Too long didn't read. Your mileage may vary.
Yeah, your mileage may vary, but like, it's really interesting to me that it's been a profound and noticeable effect since I've started actually engaging with these spirits in an intentional way.
Right.
Actually, why don't we talk a little bit about engaging with the spirits? And are we getting to the point of our end time, or do we want to keep going?
Yeah, we're an hour 8, but that's fine. So like these 3 beers, so I tend to give beer to the outsiders, which in Druidry is like the group of people you really don't want around when you're doing ritual.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of bribe them, right?
So you don't give them PBR and you don't give them cores, is what I'm hearing.
Right, exactly. And so these 3 beers I would pour out for the outsiders. I tend to give them half at the beginning and half at the end of ritual.
Mm-hmm.
And I also tend to give them a part of chocolate and the last of chocolate at the end of ritual. So I give them beer and chocolate because 2 things I personally love.
Mm-hmm.
And so far,
so this explains why I've never shown up to one of your rituals.
So far in the time that we have done them, like I've never had an outsider come in and give me shit during it. So it seems to be working with beer and chocolate. So I'm going to stick with it. That may be UPG, but I'm good with it.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Yep.
Go ahead, guys.
All right. I guess I'll do the thing. So I've been trancing with alcohol since before I knew trance was a thing. In fact, so for those who aren't aware, I actually, as a senior project in college, I wrote a book. I wrote a novella, a fiction book, which was more spirit inspired than I realized at the time, but that's a whole other fucking story. But I wrote a significant portion of that book, some 60 plus pages, in a trance state. I didn't know that's what it was, but it was a trance state. And like especially given my relationship with alcohol at the time, which wasn't great, I was tranced on alcohol a significant portion of that book. But so long story short, I've been using alcohol to induce trance states since I was 21 at least, so 7+ years. But it's different now. And I'm really not. It's a relatively new relationship for me, right? Exploring it is really interesting, but the effects have been both immediate and pretty intense. Like the drunk divination episode we did, I fell into trance immediately.
Like yeah.
And I was deep. And it was surprising to me, even as a person who does trance work a lot, because I do a lot of spirit work and I do a lot of trance work. I was surprised by how deep in a trance I got and how easy it was to stay there with the alcohol spirits assisting me staying there.
I think that's something that I've noted during the drunk divination sessions I've been part of, both as Three Pagans and a Cat and as part of this particular vlog, is if you have good relationships with the spirits of alcohol and the various gods around them, not only is trance easy, but staying in that state well after the drunkenness is worn off. That's the thing too, is that the state of drunkenness is not the trance state.
Right.
The state of drunkenness is a carrier. It's a medium, if you will. It's kind of like the lubrication that gets you into the trance headspace and lets you be receptive, and not encourages you to discard the filter.
Yep.
Even right now, I'm sorry because we're talking at the subject and my brain's kind of going wiggity. Even sometimes talking about it will help put me into that proper headspace, because my brain's starting to gear up and connect the dots inside my brain for, oh, are we going to do spirit work? No, motherfucker, we're just talking about it. So,
yeah.
And I think Jack hits the nail right on the head.
Yeah.
It helps you get out of your own way. And that's exactly what the beer is similar. I am sure, never having partaken besides once, and it was skunk weed and sucked. I've never in a modern context used marijuana. And from talking with other folks, the marijuana is not the trance state so much as the thing that helps you transition and gets you out of your own way. It shuts the policeman in your head off for a while so you can just extemporaneously talk.
And like, I wouldn't be able to do divination without alcohol. There's too much of my own brain going, you're an idiot, you shouldn't pay attention to this. And part of that is probably, the fact that I came out of Christianity. So it's all like,
well, let's be real. It's not just you came out of Christianity. You used to be hardcore involved.
Well, yeah. I'm used to be a youth pastor. Used to be ordained, or am ordained in 3 different denominations. So, I was very hardcore involved. So this kind of stuff just wasn't a big thing in that. So I kind of need that lubrication to be able to go, okay, here, I'm going to do this. It feels weird, but I'm okay because I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I think it speaks to your readings being incredibly deadly accurate.
Thanks and sorry.
Oh no. I mean, the thing about alcohol, marijuana, anything that makes you get out of your way, and sometimes it has to make you.
Right.
I know that during our drunk divination sessions, one of the things that alcohol does very well, besides slurring my voice like all hell, is it makes me step aside from the stuff that I wouldn't normally say, and
Right.
I'll just come right out and say it.
Right.
And I'm,
Yeah.
I'm fairly outspoken as a person, but even divination will sometimes give me things to say that I really would rather rephrase.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know that having watched you during drug divination, that's something that the alcohol takes away from you. Is it's not just the inhibition of divination, it's the inhibition to say what needs to be said.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to edit myself most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But once that lubricant hits, I don't
It
care.
effectively gets your inner policeman drunk.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Go sit in the corner and shut the fuck off.
So Josie said, from now on, can we read the comments that we put on the screen?
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, that's a good point, and we should definitely do that more,
Josie, I put that on the screen and then read it.
or at least most of it. But yeah.
So, yeah, close enough.
So
And
from Vixen,
What?
from can you point the ones from Vixen?
Yeah.
That's a good point. Carr might need to try that. Shut off the internal critic.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things. Even a glass of beer,
Mhm.
not even the full thing. If you can get there with a glass of beer and some deep breathing, you're good.
Yep. It's worth noting that when we did our drunk divination on this podcast, I had one glass of mead, and
That's
it took
it.
me the entire
Yeah.
episode to finish it. But it didn't matter. I just needed a little bit to get into the trance state, and then I was fine. And I drank the rest of the evening to continue enjoying it.
Right.
But that was it. It was just once that trance state was there. Let's be real. My alcohol tolerance is enough that one glass of 12% mead is not going to get me drunk.
Right.
Not to the trance state that I was.
But the thing about it is between your cultists and the way that mead works with you, that's a whole different beast. And
Exactly.
I really think that pointing this out for pagans, again, if alcohol is not in your wheelhouse, you can do this with apple cider. If you need to, you can do this with O'Doul's. I'd recommend apple cider. But you can do this with a warm glass of honey and water.
Right. Yeah.
So if
It doesn't have to be, so long as it's something that will remove your mind from where you're at, whatever that is. It could be tea.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a good cup of Earl Grey.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
English breakfast, those kind of things. Anything that removes you from the state that your mind is normally in will work.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It doesn't even need to be necessarily mind altering.
Right.
Mhm.
Exactly.
It's something that takes you away from your internal critic and your internal self long enough that you're not in front of your own way anymore.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Some people can get this by just breathing really deep for a minute. Some people need 30 minutes of deep, heavy, rocking trance work. And as somebody that's done a lot of these things, you're going to have to find out what clicks for you, whether it's in terms of alcohol or otherwise. It might be that ale is the thing you drink for social drinking, and it doesn't at all put you in mind of trance work.
Right.
Or maybe a stout is just too damn heavy. It reminds you too much of bread. It's too grounding.
Mm-hmm.
This is also another important thing that you might need to note for yourselves out there. Sounds definitely help.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sounds do help sometimes as well. Yep.
As you expand your palate and drink different drinks, you might find that certain drinks only key you into an altered headspace, whereas some will simply ground you out. I can't drink heavy stouts because it tastes too much like bread. It's too grounding.
Mm-hmm.
Like the stuff we've drank tonight, the only reason that I'm sort of in a trance headspace is because I've had enough alcohol to offset the bread feeling.
Right.
Like if I wanted to do trance headspace stuff, I'd be drinking liquor or I'd be drinking mead.
Right.
Because that, for me, it brings me up and out and it shuts my inner policeman off. Whereas if I wanted to just drink socially, I'd drink beer or I'd drink stouts or heavy ales.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
drumming,
yes.
track on your phone. Thanks, Scubas. That definitely works sometimes.
Yep.
Gemma said we're getting deep this week.
This is what we get for saying we're going to go away from a traditional 5-star format to
Right, exactly. We're going to be more
Yeah.
more conversational. This is what you get when you get conversational.
Right. And another thing that I want to point out is the thing that I implemented with, all right, who does this drink remind you of? I'll drink different things if I'm trying to connect with a different deity.
Yes,
Right.
Like if I'm trying to connect with Odin, I'll drink something completely different than if I'm trying to connect with Freya.
Yeah.
Which are actually probably bad examples because their personalities.
Well, actually, let's take it even more simple.
It's actually probably a good example because they're easy to connect, right?
That's fair.
So the fact that they have different drinks makes a whole lot more sense.
Like if I want to contact the dwarves, I'm going to drink a heavy beer.
Melkor says, "Horn jokes and philosophy. The Greeks are so proud." I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. But I mean, if I'm trying to get in touch with the Dvergar, the dwarves, I'm going to actually drink a lot of what we've had tonight.
Mm-hmm. No,
versus if I'm trying to connect with Odin, I'm going to drink a really high octane mead.
Right.
And I'm sure that your drinks for the dog are, especially given our drink selections in the last couple of episodes, your drinks for the dog are going to be different than, say, oh, you want to do something silly like get a hold of Von Morrigan.
Right. Yeah. Oh, definitely. Like the Dogma for me is like it's the high octane mead thing.
Mm.
Because that's the time when I want to show my butt to people. And that's what the Dogma's kind of known for.
That's
right?
legit.
I mean, it is. He's kind of known for like being a prankster. He wore his kilt a little high so that his butt showed out to people. And that's kind of how I feel when I'm drinking 16, 18% mead.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, sorry. Nothing beats a nice ass. Vixen.
Nothing beats a nice ass. You are so right.
Thanks, Vixen.
But I mean, that's honestly though, I mean, like it doesn't even necessarily need to be like, oh, this drink reminds me of, or it just needs to be this drink puts me in the headspace of.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I think that's, we said we did a drunk divination.
Yep.
Because we did the beer foam.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't drunk that night.
I wasn't either.
Sarenth?
Oh, no, I was drunk.
Okay. So 2 out of the 3 of us weren't. So maybe we ought to consider one. But probably not on a Tuesday night.
No, I could not. I could not.
Yeah. Oh, no, Tuesdays are my Fridays, folks. I'm getting drunk. It's going to be on a Tuesday.
That's legit.
So on the other hand, I could take Wednesday off because I own the damn brewery. So
I guess I'll just need to call in that Wednesday and we'll just arrange that ahead of time or something.
Okay. So we'll talk about it offline in our own little special space on our Discord.
Yes.
Channel.
All right. So we need to end this because it's getting to be an hour and a half and it's starting to sound like a 3-pack or an AGF episode.
I really appreciate everybody showing up and joining us for this hour and almost an hour and a half episode.
Yeah.
This is the new format. Y'all are welcome. Y'all voted for this.
Right. Yeah.
So,
that's what you all wanted. So
yeah. Honestly, I have more fun this way, and kind of that's the point of this. So
right, exactly. And this is how this started.
Yeah.
I was on a Zoom call talking about alcohol. With no filter, basically.
Basically, yeah.
As
plug your shit.
No filter on the fucking Zoom calls.
Yes, plug your stuff.
All right. So, Malek, what is it that you do, and where can people find you?
Nice reversal. I appreciate it.
So I do heathen and pack-based spirit work. You can find me on Patreon at /Malek Odinson, MALEK ODINSSON. You can also find me at TikTok under the same name, or my blog, Malek, MALEK.home.blog. I write about all kinds of shit from pack magic to heathen and polytheist topics. And now that I've got the Patreon started, you can subscribe to the Patreon to request a rant once a month. You can request that I rant about any given topic. There's other tiers as well in the Patreon, up to divination and including one-on-one spirit work. So yeah, find me there on TikTok, etc.
Fine.
All right, so you can find me on Instagram and Twitter. You can find me on damn near every social media account at Sarenth. I am at Sarenth on Twitter. I am Sarenth Odinson on Instagram, and I am also. You can support me at my Patreon. If you like the stuff that you've heard here, you can support me in my writing at patreon.com/SARENTHODINSSON. If you like that, you can also come to sarenth.wordpress.com. I have made a whole bunch of more posts this month because I found myself with a whole lot of spare time. So come check out my writing, my poetry, and my other thoughts. You can also find me at Around Grandfather Fire, where I am one of the 3 awesome co-hosts. The other 2 awesome co-hosts being Jim Stovall and Caitlin Stormbreaker. You should definitely check us out. We talk on anything from spirituality, shamanism, science fiction, and comics, and all of our geeky goodness. So please check us out.
And you're also on TikTok, right?
That is correct, and I am Sarenth Odinson on TikTok as well.
There you go. So's Malek, right?
Yep. We've done a couple of fun series together. I haven't been on TikTok lately, but my plan is to maybe tonight, depending on how sober I am in a couple hours, to maybe record some more videos. But Malek and I have done some collaborative videos that you should definitely check out.
Mm-hmm. Including like a 30-plus part series on Reconstruction, which is really fun, I think.
All right. So I am part of the 3 Pagans and a Cat podcast. You can find me. Just Google it, the number 3 Pagans and a Cat, and you will find all the shit about 3 Pagans and a Cat. Mm-hmm. On 3 Pagans on Tap, we actually have a Patreon for that. So if you'd like to support us, it does cost money for us to do the platform that we use to get all 3 of us on screen at the exact same time, or 4 or 5, or depending on how many people show up. And then, yeah, I think that's it. Is that all I do? Oh, I do a Zoom call every Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. that I post on
2 to 4.
What did I say?
3.
Oh, 2 to 4 p.m. And that I posted on the Discord for 3-Pack and Around Grandfather Fire and 3 Pagans on Tap. And I also posted on the Facebook page for 3 Pagans and a Cat. So if you want to be involved in that, it's a lot of fun. We have no meaning, no semblance of order. We just all sit around and talk together.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we got this show out of...
Right, exactly. This show came out of that. So,
all
right.
And that said, let me read off our patrons so far. So at the taster level, we have Melkor and Josie. At the half pint, we have Emily Hall. And at the pint level, we have Ganessa, L. Faithful, and Charles Howison. I am so sorry. Charles Howison. Thank you all so much. You really genuinely make this show possible. Thank you so much.
Yep. Finn says I don't do shit.
So. Finn, fuck you, Finn.
Okay.
Everyone in the car is going to say
that's the end of the broadcast. I will see everybody over on our Discord for the chat afterwards.
All right, folks.
Bye.